Jesse Ventura returning to WWE.
Good guy.
I know you like Jesse. You've met him a few times. You always said he remembers you. How could he forget you?
I was a signing. No, I met him and he came through Memphis, and I had a couple matches with him.
Oh, I didn't know. Did I know
Yeah.
that? I didn't know you wrestled him. Maybe I forgot.
Yeah, I did. I forgot. Hey, I've been hit on the head a couple 100,000 times. When I'm trying to think of a name, and I said, I don't know what's his name, and I'm asking you, I just can't remember the name. Sometimes I gotta thank God for Google, because then I can word my question in such a way that the name will come up. So, but Jesse wasn't the most talented wrestler in the world either. He was kind of stiff and kind of like working with a board. And he was a big guy. He's like 6'4", 6'5", cut up and ex-Marine, but likable guy. I mean, he's like, he's talking to you like he's known you 10 years. And that voice, you can't reproduce that voice. So him going back, I think he was talking, I think WWE came to Minneapolis and he went down to the show. And I don't know if he went down on his own or he was invited down, but he was there. And they did have a picture of him in Triple H meeting, which is good. And if he got behind the desk, to me, I'm going to say that'd be a breath of fresh air, because he was a very good color commentator. And I always enjoyed listening to him because he was different. See, what they got at the desk now is almost like two straight guys calling the match. You don't have a Lawler, you don't have a Bobby Heenan, and of course the Jesse Ventura. But those guys throw the color in there and talk off the wall about stuff that really doesn't even have anything to do with the match. It has something to do with the guy or some people in the crowd or whatever they thought about saying. But I enjoyed Jesse Ventura. If they put him back to work, it's fine with me. Now, I was talking to Lawler one day. I said, did you go to the production meeting? He said, I never went. I said, what do you mean you never went? He said, I just didn't go. Because he told Vince one day, Vince, and this is where Lawler is smart. He says, I don't need to see, you would have to come early to the tapings that day. You'd have to come about 2:00. Lawler would show up about 6, and he'd park his car and in the parking lot, and he'd walk in about 6:00, and they'd hand him a sheet. And I said, you didn't go over nothing? He said, nah, if anything special there, they would, like Michael Cole would tell me or somebody else would tell me. But he said, they just left me out there to call it as it happened. I said, have you been surprised? He said, oh yeah, a lot of times. But he said, Vince wanted me to call it through Lawler's suggestion, because what he was trying to do was trying to get out of showing up early. I know what he was trying to do. And Vince loved it. He said, great pal. Just call it the way you see it. Whatever you feel right then. Go ahead and call it. And he did. And he kept that job for how long?
90, I think it was late 92 until this year?
30.
Or last
30
year?
years. 30 years.
Yeah, 30 years.
Well, he had Lawler told me one time he was driving. This is stupid. Said he was driving from, let's say, St. Louis after a show, and he was going to another town, and he said he went about 150 miles before he knew he went the wrong way. And he had to turn around and drive back through the town that he had just left and go to the other town. And he said he was like 15 minutes before the show when he got there or something like that. I said, how did you do that? He says, I was just thinking about something else. I said, you're thinking about if you were going to like Kansas City, you wouldn't see a sign saying Kansas City so many miles. He said, I didn't. He said he was deep in thought about something. I said, wow, go on. That's 2 hours out of your way. So, but that's a Lawler story.
Yeah, he was probably trying to figure out who could play Tuggar, Lord of the Volcano, or something like that. I don't know.
Stop it.
I'm
going to tell him you said that. You know that.
Yeah, we still don't know who actually played that guy. So some people have suggested names, but I don't know if there's anything definitive out there yet. I'll have a look at the video.
What's his name again? Tuggar what?
Tuggar, Lord of the Volcano. We watched it like a couple of months ago. It was awful.
I don't think anybody... didn't I get a name for him? But it's just
you suggested a name, but I got quite a few. I'd have to look at the comments of the old video and we'll try and work that out. Right, back to Jesse. So, by the way, I've driven to my old house since I moved from February. I've driven to my old house about 4 times. I just sat there.
Really?
Oh yeah.
You just looked at it.
No. I've driven to my old house thinking I still live there. I forgot I'd moved.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I'm with Jerry. Man, I can do that like you wouldn't believe. I'm just deep in thought, and I'm just like a homing pigeon.
I can truly say that I never went the wrong way. Because I'm sure this is a town that he'd never been to before. It's brand new. You know, WWE, they don't have any kind of a system where they book towns like the territories. You know, Memphis would be a Monday and Louisville would be a Tuesday, or in Florida, it would be a Tuesday night was Tampa, Wednesday was Miami. You know that. That was your schedule every week. But in WWF case, you know, all these towns are different. So, but he told me he went to about 150 miles out of the way and then had to make a U-turn and go back the same way he came. I never heard a story like that before.
I've never done that 150 miles, but I've done it a number of times. Anyway, 38th Governor of Minnesota, Jesse the Body Ventura, has been welcomed back to WWE with open arms, including a brief video of him arriving at the XL Energy Center at St. Paul, Minnesota, shaking hands with Triple H, probably flying all the way from the Baja. I can't do his impression. I can't do his voice, but later Ventura posted on his Twitter a photo of him shaking hands with CM Punk and chatting with Damian Priest. Screwing up all the names today, writing, "Why did I come back for moments like these and moments like this? It truly was an honor yesterday, meeting the newest generation of wrestlers who are taking the show of shows into a very bright future." So, why is Jesse coming back now? 2024, after all these years.
Well, he had it was Vince. Vince was the one that I think Jesse couldn't get along with. You know, Vince has a very abrasive personality if he wants to be. He can be the friendliest guy in the world, and he can be the most abrasive guy in the world. Because I think they call most guys like Vince, they may call him psychotic, because he's not the same guy you meet twice. And I think Jesse, now that Vince is gone, the whole landscape has changed. And even CM Punk, I mentioned him a little earlier, he said the same thing. It's totally, totally different. Now he said it's fun to come to work. Before, and I can agree with him on this, it was really a chore to walk into those buildings, because you didn't know what you were walking into. You didn't know what kind of mood you were walking into, what kind of temperament. And whatever mood Vince was in, everybody underneath him was in the same mood. They would be nervous and excited, and not excited in a good way, excited in a bad way, because Vince was on the warpath and raising hell. And I've said before how I could tell the temperature in the room was I would walk by the writer's room, and I could judge by them, because they'd already met with Vince. And if they were kind of loose and kind of laughing, Vince was okay. But if they were all tight and quiet, you know, Vince just reamed them out that day. And it's according to what kind of mood Vince is in, that the whole crew would be in. Not only the wrestlers, but the whole production crew. All of us. All of them.
CM Punk quote, he says, "I saw Governor Ventura the other day, absolutely 100% blown away. One of the coolest things that's ever happened to me in my life is he tells me that he saw I came back, and he said the place must have changed. If CM Punk's back, I'll go back. I can't take credit for it, but I think like a guy like me being back, I think speaks volumes." Obviously it does.
It sure does.
Oh, yeah.
And I would like to hear Jesse back.
Well,
even as a guest, just on a pay-per-view. See what I mean?
Commentator or backstage?
Yeah.
What, I mean, on screen,
No,
what do you think Jesse could provide now? Because he doesn't watch the product anymore.
Well, nostalgia for one thing, because a lot of people still remember him. A lot of your older fans. Now he'd be exposed to the younger fans. Jesse can talk. He's never been at a loss for words. And I met Jesse, I don't know, a couple of years ago at a convention that I went to, and he came over to the table and, you know, he was talking, how you doing, this, that, and the other. And of course, I remembered him in the old Memphis days when he was just starting out. And he didn't, you don't forget where you've been or who helped you. So I got along with him then, and he didn't forget it and came over and shook my hand and, you know, asked me how I was doing and all this. And I got up and slapped him and said, "Hey, that's for that damn slam you gave me in Evansville."
Hey, did you help him? I mean, you just said, you know, you don't forget the people who helped you. I mean, did you help him in any way specifically?
Well, I helped him during the matches and helped him lay them out, you know, and I had to go out there and see what he could do first. And then
it wasn't much. So
well, what I'm saying is, see, I have to watch him and work with him to see what he can do and what I can do for him. That's what the term working comes into play, because it takes two to make a match. And if I go out there and I'm doing nothing, and he's doing nothing, it's going to be a stinking match. So unless I get off my butt and do some things that make it enjoyable or passable, I mean, we didn't have what they call a damn burner, but we had a decent match. The crowd was pretty good that night, or the couple of nights that I worked with him during Memphis's, you know, boom time, or when they was having a good run. And so, and I helped him there, helped him in the dressing room, and, you know, and during the match. And yeah, he didn't forget it, and he didn't beat the shit out of me either. So I appreciate that.